Hey guys, what's going on? Hopefully you're having a great day today. So I want to do another live video. I think so far that's 3 this week. So hopefully we can keep that up for the rest of this week. But I wanted to just shoot this video and talk about how to be a successful entrepreneur. And I want to give you the 5 mistakes I made in the beginning. And hopefully these mistakes are things that you won't make, or these are mistakes that by me telling you these are mistakes I made, hopefully you can kind of fix your business from where you're currently at. The first mistake, and I've talked about this many times before, the very first mistake, and if you have experienced any one of these, put that in the live chat or in the comment section below. But the very first mistake I ever learned and ever, kind of fixed was I stopped learning. I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew, okay, when my very first business was a website, I jumped in and thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I thought I learned everything. And it doesn't matter, online entrepreneurship, just basic business, brick and mortar store, whatever you're doing, you never stop learning. And if you ever stop learning, then you're probably going to fail. That's just the way it works. One of the things somebody told me early on is, you don't know what you don't know. And I thought they were crazy. It's like, what does that mean? Of course I don't know what I don't know. And maybe you've heard that before, but it holds true to every business. Online business, brick and mortar stores, sales, whatever it is, real estate, it doesn't matter. You honestly don't know what you don't know. Until you figure that out, you will not be successful. So if you've ever heard that, let me know. But the second mistake I made was shiny object syndrome. And I've talked about this multiple times here on this channel, over on my website as well, and even on Facebook. What is shiny object syndrome? Shiny object syndrome is simply where something else catches your eye. So, years ago, it was all about Kindle publishing. Before that, it was all about, blogging. And then we got into, a lot of people got into Amazon FBA. From there, a lot of people jumped over to Merch by Amazon, and they just keep jumping from business to business to business. If you've ever experienced this, let me know, hit that thumbs up button. But one of the reasons why shiny object syndrome was a mistake for me is because I just bounced from business to business to business, from one website to the next, from one strategy to the next. And I just kept jumping, over and over again. So I never found much success. I was always kind of floundering. It was, it was going okay. I was making money, but it never, spiked. I never made a lot of money in the beginning because I was jumping around so much. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but if you find something that you will be successful with, you might as well stick with it. I didn't do that in the beginning. I kept jumping from one website idea to the next, to a YouTube channel, back and forth. Finally, I found out what was working, and I stuck with that. But that was a huge mistake. And I think in the beginning, that's what cost me a lot of money, a lot of headaches. And I think that cost me a lot of time that I never got back. Obviously, you can't get time back, but it's because I wasted all this time trying these different things, and only one thing was working, but I just kept wasting my time. So don't do that. Let's see. Reyes says, definitely, I spent this last year doing that same thing, learned a lot, but didn't stick with one thing. And that's such a big issue. A lot of people, that shiny object syndrome, and I get it because I've been there. I know a lot of people have as well. It doesn't matter who you are. You've probably experienced that in some way, to some level, to some extent. But, just try to minimize that if you can. Trudy says, don't know what you don't know. Heard that for sure. And I don't remember the last time I heard it. I think it was on TV somewhere. But anyway, I heard that again, and it holds true to me. Someone told me that early on, and it still sticks with me. When making a website to help promote affiliate offers, how do people make money when paying for pay-per-click ads to get website traffic? Some pay-per-click keywords are very expensive. Thanks. Colby, let me answer that really quick, and I'll get back to the video. But the way you make money with pay-per-click ads is let's say a click is 10 cents. If every 10 clicks equals 1 conversion, so one converts to a sale, that means for every 1 sale, you're paying $1. So you'd have to get more than $1 per sale to make sure you're actually you're profitable there. 80s Breaker says, help. Which is more profitable? Which is more profit, selling books, merchant fulfilled, or FBA? Thanks for your help. It really just depends, but I do everything FBA. Back to the video. The third stupid mistake that I made in the very beginning was I was too cheap. And not like I was too cheap, I wouldn't spend money on certain things, but I wasn't spending money on the right things. So in the beginning, I had somebody create a logo for my website, for my weekly romance website. I've never heard that story talked about before, but that was my very first website. I had somebody create a logo. It sucked, but I paid them $2.50 to create this logo. I was cheap. Okay. I was also cheap. I didn't want to spend much money on articles. So when I was, just starting out, creating these websites, all that stuff, the articles that were being written were pretty bad. And so I had to go back in, I had to edit those articles, I had to fix them, I had to add more content to it. And so it took more of my time. So instead of spending the $5 or $10 per article, I was spending like $3 or $4. And by doing that, I was getting less quality work. So, put in the money, put in the time. Don't be cheap with your money, with your investment back into your business, whether it's money or it's time. Let's see. Reyes says there's lots of money to be made out there in many, many ways, but I decided to stick with FBA for now, going to get that automated as much as possible and then move on to something new. Ray, I think that's a great idea. Figure it out, start to get it to the point where you can automate a lot of the process and then move on to something else. But don't do 100% in something else and don't look back on what is automated, because I did that in the past. And what happens is that business that you once thought was automated, it's now starting to digress and you're starting to lose a little bit of money. So just make sure you're watching them both very closely. How much did it cost to start being an entrepreneur in your experience? Jen, that's a great question. How much does it cost to be an entrepreneur? Really nothing. It costs a lot of time and energy. That's the main thing. That's the biggest expense I've ever had is my time. Money, you can make money, you'll lose money, and that's fine. But the time is one thing you'll never get back. So as far as how much did it cost, it's cost people their lives to be a successful entrepreneur. People have wasted years and years. I have a client actually right now. He is 60 some years old, and he started his very first business when he was 16 years old. He's never found success. So that's something we're really putting a lot of time and effort into him, trying to get him successful, get him to the point where he is building a business based on these 60 some years of experience that he's had. Is shiny object syndrome kind of just being an opportunist? How should we pick which direction to go? I'm not sure how to direct you in which direction you need to go, because that always depends on who you are, what your experience is, the passion that you have for whatever business. If you don't want to sell something, don't get into Amazon FBA. If you don't want to promote products, don't get into affiliate marketing. If you don't want to write, don't be a freelance writer. If you don't even have a camera, you're not gonna be able to sell stock photography. So, shiny object syndrome, you really got to look at what you have, what your experience is, kind of go with that. I know that's kind of a bad answer. It doesn't give you much direction, but honestly, without knowing you, I can't give you a lot of direction because I don't know what you're good at. And I just want to say, hey, go to Amazon FBA, because honestly, that's not the best business for everybody. If you don't have much money, Amazon FBA is not a good business for you. If you don't have time and you're not good with computers or anything like that, you just can't sit there and work on a computer, affiliate marketing might not be best suited for you. It's a great business. I love it. I recommend to anybody, but some people just can't handle it. So yeah. Ray says, thanks for the advice. Yeah, anytime. Do I know any legendary marketer that you recommend? I pretty much follow anybody. I will follow anybody. Ty Lopez, he's a great marketer. Anik Singhal, another great one. Frank Kern. All these people that, even though some of these are not actually like marketers and they're not trying to promote products or whatever. Some of these people, like Frank Kern, he's big on consulting and all that stuff. Tony Robbins, people like that. They're all marketers in a sense. So follow these people and pick up the those subtleties that they're what they're doing on social media, on their websites, on YouTube, wherever, through email lists, whatever it is, and start to replicate that. Don't copy it, but replicate it. Superfly dude, how many hours do you work on a typical day? It really just depends. So even though I'm technically working on some things, I could be sitting on the couch, playing with my son. We could be watching TV. When my oldest son comes home from school, I might sit there and mess around on the computer, maybe build a landing page, check my Facebook ads, stuff like that. So even though it's considered work, I guess, to me it really doesn't. So actual work where I sit in front of the computer, just honed in, focused, whether it's at the office or at home, doesn't matter. Probably looking at maybe typical day, probably 2 to 3 hours. But again, I've been doing this for 10, 11 years. So are you going to start out working 2 to 3 hours a day? Probably not. But just stick with it. Let me answer another question. My main issue is being tug left and right to entrepreneurship. If you're being pulled, in different directions, you should have the, how should I put it? You should have the ability to decide which direction you want to go, because there's no two directions that should be the exact same for you. One direction is gonna be, you're gonna have a little more passion for it. So for example, let's say somebody says, hey, you want to go to a movie or would you like to go to this concert? Your heart's going to decide on which one you'd rather do. So it's kind of the same thing. Pick which one and just live with it. Back to the video though. The number 4 stupid mistake I made in the beginning was I looked at my income as the end goal. Okay, so what I did was income was pretty much the ultimate goal. That's all I cared about in the beginning. Is when somebody came to my website, my weekly romance website, when they came to that site, I pretty much wanted every single visitor to read the article, click on the link, buy the product, buy the course, buy the service, whatever it was. I wanted them to pretty much pay every single time they landed on my site, which is not the way you need to look at it. You need to add value, and that's what it took me a little bit to understand that you got to provide value first. And once you build up that rapport with somebody and they trust you, then they will eventually buy something, or they'll go and maybe you'll be an affiliate for whatever, a course or a product, whatever, and they will go and buy it. Maybe you recommend a service to them, they will go and buy that. At some point, money has to change hands for you to make any money. So just got to keep that in mind. The number 5 stupid mistake that I made in the very beginning is I didn't network. And this was a huge issue, because for any online entrepreneur, if you are not networking, you're not building your network, you're not surrounding yourself with successful people, people in your field, or are looking for your product or service, you will fail eventually. Like I said in just a little video, money has to change hands in order for you to be paid. If money's not changing hands, how you ever think you're going to be successful? How do you think you're going to get paid? You probably won't. So one question I just want to ask you guys, you can comment, here underneath the video or in the live chat if you're here. But what is one mistake you have made sometime? It doesn't matter if it's in the very beginning, you've been in it for 5 years, you've been an entrepreneur for 5, 10 years. What is one mistake that you have made that you think other people have made as well? One other mistake that, kind of a bonus that I just want to give you is, it doesn't matter. Let's say you go into Amazon FBA or affiliate marketing. At some point, maybe you decide you don't want to do that anymore. So if that's how you feel, you control the outcome of your business. You can control the direction of it. So I recommend, if you don't want to do affiliate marketing anymore, switch. Maybe you want to open up a Shopify store. Maybe you want to jump here on YouTube. Maybe you're going to create T-shirts or something, or sell stock photography, or whatever it is you're going to do. You're going to go over to eBay. You need to decide what direction you want to take and take that direction. A lot of people think that, oh, I've spent 6 months of this past year on building my Amazon business. I can't throw that away. I just don't want to. And sometimes you just don't have the passion for it. You just don't have a desire to keep that business running. So in that sense, maybe it's time to shut it down. I hate shutting down a business. I hate quitting on myself, because it kind of just shows that, yes, I failed, and I hate failing. There's businesses where I've dumped, hundreds or thousands of dollars into, even after I knew there's no chance it's going to be successful, just because I want to prove myself wrong, that, no, this can be a successful business. So there's times where I lose hundreds or thousands of dollars just because I don't want to fail. So just understand there will be times where you don't necessarily fail, but if you keep running that business, you're going to fail to succeed. So I just want to leave you guys with that. But yeah, I know entrepreneurship is something that nobody can master. You're not going to be 100% successful on day one, or maybe even in the first year. There's always going to be things that you can keep learning. So never stop learning. Invest in yourself. You don't have to, invest money. It doesn't have to be any type of financial investment. You can invest your time into learning a new skill. Somebody asked me the other day, do I recommend going to college? And I said, it's really up to them. The one downfall of college is it takes away your time to building your business. But if you don't know what business you want to run yet, and you're still thinking, okay, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to learn accounting or marketing or whatever, those are skills that you can apply to business later on. So you can still run a business, you can still start up a business, even though you're going to college, but it's really going to take away your free time. So just understand, you should never stop learning. Invest in yourself, whether it's financially or just time-wise, and you will be successful at some point. Ray says, my biggest mistake was trying to grow too fast, and I wasn't making much money. Now I know which direction I want to head into, so I'll work in that direction and use what I've learned from you to grow. I think that's a great. It's not a great mistake, but it's great that you learn that now. Is that if you try to grow too fast, and that happened to me once before, where I grew way too fast, I had way too many websites. I had to hire all these people, all these virtual assistants to help me out, to help me run it, help me provide more content, build more links, all this stuff. And it took away from my free time. And that's why I run this business, is because I love to have free time. I love to be able to do what I want to do and work when I want to. And, I was doing it the opposite way. Nick says, my mistake was procrastination and lack of focus. Nick, I get that a lot. People procrastinate all the time, and it's not on, major things. It's on simple things. For instance, I told somebody when they first created a website, to go around to these other websites inside their niche and put blog comments on them, comment on their articles, and it will provide a little bit of links back to them, but it's going to provide that exposure to the other audience. And they procrastinated on that for about probably like 3 or 4 months. And finally, when they did that, they started seeing a little bit of traffic trickle in. So yeah, a little bit of procrastination does hurt your business a little bit. So if you can, get around it. Trudy says, I had a hard time admitting that my idea wasn't the best one or the right one, and just be open. And, I get that a lot as well, is everybody wants their idea to be perfect. And this is actually something I learned from Shark Tank. If you ever watch that, Barbara Corcoran says one thing she learned in early on is that sometimes 80% is good enough. And I really took that to heart when I saw that a few weeks ago or whenever it was. But sometimes I want all my stuff to be 100% perfect before I put it out. And it's just never going to be like that. YouTube video, you're watching this one. Honestly, the lighting's off. The sound's probably a little bit off. It could be better. The background could be better. But sometimes just putting it out there so people can learn, you can get out your content, whatever it is, 80% honestly is good enough. So yeah, just admitting that your idea wasn't the best one or the right one. I think that's great that you finally came to that realization. But anyway, if you guys have any other questions, put those in the comment section below. You can always message me over on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/homemade entrepreneur and send me a message there. I'll try to answer any questions that you guys have. One thing I'm going to try to do more, I'm doing more live videos here on YouTube, but I'll probably start doing more over on Facebook as well. So again, if you don't follow me, go follow me there. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know what your questions are. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you guys on the next video.